Hello, I've chosen to find two concepts. The first being anxiety, which is defined as a mood state characterized by a negative affect, muscle tension, and physical arousal in which a person apprehensively anticipates the future danger or misfortune. This can be defined as a negative mood state that is accompanied by bodily symptoms such as an increased heart rate, muscle tension, and sense of unease or apprehension about the future. Barlow, 2022 or 2002. Anxiety is like that quirky friend who nudges us to make a plan for the future. Surprisingly, normally that's a good thing. It gets our gears turning, ideas flowing. If you've seen the Inside Out movies, you might have seen the second film, which shows that anxiety can actually be a very productive member of your inner workings. Well, a bit of anxiety does help us stay alert and ready for anything, like our ancestors. Some people find that over time it can overtake us, maybe turning a test into like this big panic, or a date into this fidgety, wiggly person that just it doesn't make it you anymore. When anxiety begins crashing important moments instead of enhancing them, it might be time to consider professional help and a diagnosis. One of the things that anxiety can trigger is a panic attack. The sensations of a panic attack are a rush of adrenaline, difficulty breathing, tightness in the chest, racing heart, sweating, tingly sensations, and sometimes shaking extremities. It can have your vision tunnel, and sometimes you can even faint. This is why it's important, if you feel any of these symptoms, make sure to pull over, don't operate heavy equipment. So, one of these things that can happen when you begin having a panic moment is you can have a fight or flight response, which is Canon 1929. And this is your body's natural reaction to fear, preparing you to either fight or escape in response to some sort of perceived danger. Now, what isn't mentioned in the text is there's actually a third F, which is freeze. In fact, many people have this response to danger, especially in our current society where we are no longer hemmed in by our instincts as much as we used to be. Well, this can actually cause feelings of guilt when you are a victim of a crime. It can be reactions like, why didn't I run? Or why didn't I fight? And what I want to say is that to freeze is perfectly normal and perfectly acceptable reaction. Sometimes it's actually the only reaction that's correct. Anxiety is caused by a triple vulnerability threat. There is the biological vulnerability, which is genetics, neurological biology, such as chemicals and whatnot. Now, while no one gene has been found to cause anxiety or panic responses, it seems to be genetics overall can tip it either way. And this is DeBrant and Gillinter and Steen, Smoller, Block, and Young from 2019 to 2012. So physiological vulnerabilities are the second reason for the triple vulnerabilities. And this is how our early experiences have built our worldview. When you're very young and you have something happen to you, a stressor, it can cause a negative worldview, which then increases your possibility to have that vulnerability. Then there's specific vulnerabilities, which are specific experiences that lead us to focus and channel our anxieties. These are learned behaviors through negative connotation and experiences that create a specific anxiety stressor. This is Barlow 2002, Swartz 2009. So how I relate to this is that I actually have GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder. And I am achingly familiar with panic attacks and how damaging they can be overall to your mental health, your physical health too. My anxiety seems to have a purpose though. which is to allow myself to preview all the possibilities and narrow it down to which is most likely. So then when the event in question does happen, I actually find myself in a relatively calm state and can handle it. So not all anxiety is bad. The impact of me learning this in class was I already knew it. As a patient with GADS, I do have a therapist, and we've covered all this. But I did feel that it would be important to let people know about the third F, freeze. So my second concept was intelligence, which is defined as the ability to learn, remember info, use data, problem solve, and adapt. An early scholar of intelligence, Charles Spearman, proposed the idea that intelligence was one thing, a general factor, sometimes known as simply as G factor. He based this conclusion on observations that people who perform well in one intellectual area, such as verbal ability, also tend to perform well in other areas, such as logic and reasoning. This was in 1904. A contemporary of Spearman was Francis Galton, who was actually Charles Darwin's cousin. He pioneered a psychological measurement by measuring various physical characteristics. This is one example of the earliest systematic measurements of individual ability. Galton was particularly interested in intelligence, which he thought was inheritable in such a way that, similar to eye and height and whatnot. He conceived of several rudimentary methods for assessing his hypothesis, such as family tracking. However, that method tended to be flawed because it didn't take into effect wealth, status, and whatnot. Galton, though, was also the first to popularize the idea that the inheritability of psychological traits could be studied by looking at two identical fraternal twins. The best person known for formally pioneering the measurement of intelligent ability is Alfred Binet. He observed kids in the classroom to determine the development process of intelligence. The first IQ tester, intelligence quotient, he created with his colleague Theodore Simon. Binet created a test of children's intelligence capability, developed questions that could be answered at certain ages, such as this little one here. She's 3. Maya, can you show me where your eyes are? Good job. Maya, can you show me where your eyebrows are? That's right. Those are eyelashes. Where's your nose? Where's your ears? Right? Where's your mouth? Mouth next. Good. Chin. What's a chin? That's right. Can you show me your thumb? Nope, that one's wrong. So she's not 4 yet. All right, that's enough, baby girl. Thank you for your help. Can you go back to your room for a minute?
No.
Oh, well, I guess we have a star. So, next. The intelligent quotient is a given name to a score of the Binet-Simons test. The score was derived by dividing a child's mental age, the score from the test, by their chronological age to create an overall quotient. Modern use of IQ doesn't generally denote intelligence or a score on any intelligence test. Or it does. Sorry, I'm getting a little confused with this one. It does denote a score on any intelligence test. Stanford professor Louis Terman created the first standardized IQ test. He based it on a large sample of children, and he was able to plot the normal distribution of intelligence per age on a bell curve.
Mama?
Yes, baby girl.
What is this?
I don't know, baby. Another modern IQ test was the Wilshire Adult Intelligence Scale, the WAS, which provided clues to a definition of intelligence itself. Washler created a test that tapped into a wide range of intellectual abilities. This understanding of intelligence that is made up of a pool of specific abilities is a departure from the previous concepts, but how we measure intelligence today. The WAS assesses people's ability to remember, compute, understand language, reason well, and process information quickly. So, how I relate to this is first, by my own experience, I had my first intelligence test around first grade because I had went into kindergarten and I could already read and do basic math. They decided that my intelligence score was 156. I had another one the following year, and it was 157. And my third thing that I relate to this with is I would love to get my daughter tested because she is already very smart. She can count to 20. She knows the days of the week. And maybe I'm just being a proud mama. So the impact is, for me, this really goes to show a lot of these tests actually have a huge history and actually are fairly well founded considering how long this has been studied. I initially thought that it was kind of hoo-ha because of how my mother forced me to take these tests even though the school wasn't. And then, of course, as the internet developed, we saw these tests everywhere, and they were endemic every page, and they were all hoo-ha. You know, you were intelligent because you liked cats. Well, anyways, thank you, and I hope you had fun looking at my very sparkly little girl. Maya, can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
All right, have a wonderful day.